Welcome to My Hard Drive Died, episode number 7. I'm here with Scott Moulton from MyHardDriveDied.com. Hi, Scott.
Hi, how you doing?
Doing great. How about you?
Doing great. Perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, we were talking about the show, and this is funny. We were actually talking about we should record what we talk about before the show because it's very interesting sometimes, and we have a lot of fun. And Scott, the first thing I asked Scott was what's new, and you talked about a new hard drive that Seagate made. It's a solid-state drive. Why don't you go over some of those points about that drive, Scott?
Yeah, this is kind of the thing where manufacturers of hard drives and stuff haven't really ventured into doing all the solid-state stuff. So you'll see that most of the new solid-state hard drives out there are from vendors that really didn't make a hard drive before. There's a few exceptions to that, obviously, like Toshiba, Samsung, but normally Western Digital and Seagate did not have any solid-state hard drives. And so apparently Seagate has made one of their first solid-state hard drives, and it's not really a consumer product. It's not like put it in a laptop or anything. It's more like a server based. Looks like a blade server. It's a very large array basically, and it's around 200 gigs, but it's an extremely fast device. This particular device is measured in operations per second, and this thing does 30,000 read operations per second and 25,000 write operations per second. But this is meant for like high-speed banking transactions in places where you actually have something that does 10,000 operations per second trying to save bank records or something, as opposed to dealing with in solid-state drives. To kind of give you a comparison, the fastest hard drive on the market right now is the Intel X20. It's a solid-state drive. It's the Intel X25. It has cache and it's a solid-state device. And basically, to give you a comparison between the Seagate device and how fast it is and this Intel device, is this Intel device only does 5,000 reads per second. So its operations per second is 1/6 of what it is on this new Seagate device. But this is probably an adventure where you'll now see Seagate coming down the stream later on with a consumer-based product. So Western Digital already bought a company that makes consumer-based products, and so they're working on a solid-state device with the Western Digital name on it.
Cool. Well, so when do you think? Like you were saying, the Intel device is 1/6 the speed of this new device. Do you think? When do you think that consumer devices will be as fast as this one that Seagate just made?
Well, obviously Intel's approaching that by adding cache and RAM and stuff to their device and doing some optimization. So the way things seem to be jumping, because this is already the Intel device itself is already like 4,000 times faster than a standard hard drive or something. Because like a Seagate SCSI hard drive does 180 operations per second. So the solid-state device is almost 5,000 times faster. So I would say, within a year or two, we're probably going to be jumping up, 2, 3, 4 times the speed of what we are now.
Wow. And to put that into perspective, like how fast, like if I just take a normal 7,200 RPM drive that I have here, like a SATA drive, how fast does that compare to the Intel, and then how fast does that compare to the Seagate?
Well, the Intel X25 is 5,000 operations per second, and a standard 7,200 RPM hard drive is 90 operations per second.
That is amazing.
So those are some big differences between those. And, SCSI being around one of the longest, it only being 180 operations per second. You can see SCSI's are already faster than some of our fastest IDE/SATA hard drives as well.
Right.
So, people keep making those comments, why does SCSI still exist? Why is it out there? And, it has a lot to do with its performance and its capabilities for servers and multiple operations per second.
Yeah, it's twice as fast, right?
Right. Yes, at least twice as fast, right?
Well, how much is the Intel, what is the X25 you said?
Yeah, I think it's affordable now. I don't think that we're talking, maybe $400 or $500 for one of the standard, maybe 128s or something. But, really size has become the big deal. There are some newer solid state devices. You can get up to 1 terabyte for around $2,500 or so right now. and there are 512 gig drives that are going to be around $1,200 or so. So the price is coming down as we are getting bigger drives.
I would never spend that much for a drive right now for that, just because the technology's cruising along. It's going to come down like so fast.
Yeah, but really think about it like this. Like, for instance, let's say that you're a photographer and that you like to go climbing mountains or something, and you are really concerned about your laptop because you'd like to bring it with you so that you can work on raw files or at least view them while you're on the road. Or even if you have one of these new, like I don't know if you've ever seen a Color Space. It's called a Color Space UDMA. It's a little handheld device that looks at raw files. It's basically like a little Linux computer that fits in your hand, but it's just got one screen. And let's say you're climbing up this mountain and you want to store your files on this device. It uses a hard drive internally to store it. And movement with a hard drive is always really bad, especially if you're like a hiker or doing something and you're trying to use this device. So wouldn't it be more beneficial to you if you had a solid state device that you would put in there, even if it was just for this 1 year before the price drops? It would be very functional for you to have a 512 gig device that's solid state, that's not going to be affected by you climbing this mountain and losing your pictures.
It would, but I mean, look at iPod hard drives. They're still spinning hard drives in there, and haven't they constructed them in a way now that they're very, like the damage, they don't get damaged as much. I mean, teenagers run around with these things. That's worse than climbing a mountain.
Well, they have, but also if you notice that they've kept the capacity lower than what the current capacities are that are on the market by, basically giving them more space so that the heads aren't flying as close to the platters and things like that. So they've made some modifications because it's a Samsung that primarily sells the drives to, for those devices. But that's one of the other things too, is as we've been heading into the solid state where, the iTouch and the iPhone and things like that are all solid state devices. That's where you're durable. That's why they don't have, in that cell phone, they don't have a spinning disc.
Right.
So, but one of the ways that the iPod does it is it caches it to RAM. So it reads a whole song or, multiple songs in advance, caches them to RAM, knowing that those are going to be the next ones in your queue that it's going to request. So then it spins the drive down again.
I see. So it might not be spinning when you're like exercising with the thing. Right,
exactly. It only spins long enough for it to read 3 or 4 megs. So it's, your 3 or 4 megs is going to be 1 minute, and it only is going to take it, 10 seconds to spin up, 5 seconds or 6 seconds more to read 3 or 4 megs, and then it's done.
I didn't even know that. That's cool. So, okay, so now I can see how your photographer situation would work out.
Well, the photography situation is more complex.